Last time on Realm of the Gods, Citizen Pain, so Lasius returns to the cobbler's cottage and finds the cobbler looking even more frail than before. It turns out there can only be like 3 more meetings between them. Lasius calls over his new minion Damos and asks the cobbler if Damos has any future as a shoemaking apprentice. The cobbler says, yeah, there's some talent hidden away, and Damos gets all excited to get back to, kicking ass. But Lasius just sends him off to a sweatshop to practice making shoes. Then Lasius asks if there's anything he can do to save the cobbler, and the cobbler, super enthusiastic, says, oh, you can kill the god of time and space. Lasius breathes a sigh of relief, heading back through the portal, totally sure there's nothing in the entire multiverse he can do to save him, and, honestly, that he was right all along. As he enters the underwater base, Lasius finds the god of madness is up to some classic Bryethar shenanigans. Let's go to a pet cemetery. So the gang arrives at a pet cemetery where Bryethar starts digging around with his trusty garden trowel, while, honestly, the others aren't really into it. Bryethar manages to dig up a bunch of animals and, using his Necromancy for Dummies guidebook, reanimates them into this smaller Cerberus-like creature. The gang gets back home, but just long enough to eat, like a couple of Hot Pockets, before Ringo gets a call on his cell phone from Ognir, who wants them to meet him and a friend at a pub to talk about another operation. So they head down to 457 Pubside Way and meet up with Ognir and Loki. They order drinks, but have to cancel them since Serenity is only a few months old. Turns out not even a god can get around the legal drinking age. The gang settles into a bar that's actually completely identical to the last. Nolene, who's addicted to Quetzalcoatl venom, gets her fix. Bryethar grabs a beer. Lasius gets himself some dragon's milk, and Ringo ends up with a cute little virgin Shirley Temple. Alright, they get down to business. Everyone at the table has their own reason to fix the competition, and Loki says he wants to help. To pull it off, Loki suggests breaking into Multiverse Got Talent HQ and grabbing a list of the top 100 frontrunners for the competition. Supposedly they're in Thor's office, and conveniently, Loki just happens to have a key. But, there's a catch. The dreaded blue demon of fate guards the office to make sure no one cheats fate. Ognir's heard this guy is like absolutely ripped and super cunning. Barely anyone can beat him. Seriously, this guy is not someone you want to mess around with. The gang wastes no time and heads over to Multiverse Has Got Talent's headquarters. They manage to break in and begin sneaking through the halls, just like they've done it 1,000 times before. Ringo manages to find a janitor closet and, the gang disguises themselves as janitors. They continue to wander through the halls and eventually they come across Thor's office. Heading inside, everyone struggles to find the top 100 contestants list and someone decides to spend a fate point. The gang is then alerted to a voice coming down the halls, spouting a demonic tongue. Where are you, manipulators of fate? Lasius jumps through the ceiling tile quickly as Nolene and Ringo manage to scamper up as well. Bryethar pulls off a classic. He disguises himself as a lamp. The demon of fate enters the room and a cold chill goes down everyone's spine. Everyone is on edge as he searches the room, his figure more powerful than they could ever imagine. He stops, pauses, and finds a $20 bill Ringo had dropped to distract him. What masterful, cunning, bold plan could the gang come up with to incapacitate such an intimidating foe? Nolene pulls out her gun and shoots him in the fucking head with a Hephaestus Hellscreamer round. The demon is then stunned and cannot move as the gang starts their normal routine of messing with him. Lasius tries to rip the $20 bill out of his hands but winds up tearing it in half. Bryethar, always on the lookout for good fashion, winds up removing all of his clothes so that he may wear them himself. The gang pulls the classic prank of trying to give him a lobotomy with one of Ringo's lockpicks. But this goes worse than expected. Then suddenly the demon begins to regain the ability to move. Nolene shouts, "Run," and like a Russian sleeper agent hearing a code word activation, Lasius immediately begins to bolt out the door with Ringo clutching on for dear life. Lysias collides with walls like a pinball and heads the complete wrong direction, but, well, he manages to eventually find his way out. The gang finally makes their escape and watches the Demon of Fate, who is now absolutely furious and in his undies, leave the building. The gang heads off to get the suit fitted for Bryathar. Walking through the streets, Bryathar notices he's being followed by a spectral kitty, likely related to his cemetery. They enter the tailor and run into Horus in his finest Egyptian suit. He immediately recognizes the Demon of Fate's fit and is visibly panicked, realizing the gang has pissed him off. Yeah, that's the understatement of the century. Horus states that he's going to be on Hercules and Talk Show. Bryathar pulls a demonic tome out of his new suit's pocket, and Horus tries to read it, but it causes his eyes to bleed. Quickly closing it, he suggests that they bring it on down to Athena at the Library of Knowledge. The session ends with Athena analyzing the demonic tome as the gang awaits the knowledge within. Will the gang tip the scales of fate and win the competition, or will fate catch up with them with the Demon of Fate? Find out next time on Realm of the Gods, Citizen Pain.